We're going to race through this whole world of AI, and I'm going to give you a bit of a taste. And particularly today, I'm looking at this through the lens of things that I've made for my local church setting. So these are things I've made for Sunday school, things I've made for my class at school, things I've made for outreach. And that's what I want to show you, what's possible today in all sorts of different aspects of AI. So I was given the task of looking after Sunday school on the week after Easter. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be interesting for the children to understand all the things that Jesus did after the resurrection? So I decided I would ask ChatGPT, which is a chatbot. I said, could you tell me, list all the different times where Jesus appears after his resurrection and before he goes back to heaven? And it listed off 10 times, and it gave me the Bible references, and I was able to check it. I double-checked the Bible, and all the 10 times looked good, and it worked for what I was trying to do. And I then set about to go, well, how do I visualize this? I want my children to understand something of these 10 times. I ended up creating a visual for each of the different stories and had the key verse that explained what happened in that story. And we were focused mostly on the end where Jesus said to go and be my witnesses. But I wanted them to understand that there was a good reason why Jesus appeared to so many people after his resurrection. So I visualized that we walked through the 10 different times. I was then able to take all those different images and turn it into a video. And here it is. Enjoy it.
Ten times, yes, at least 10 times. Jesus alive, please don't blink. Really, what do you think? 1, to Mary in the garden, Jesus came, standing behind her, calling her name. 2, the road to Emmaus, 2 men walked, he explained the scriptures, broke bread and talked. 3, he appeared to his friends, said, peace to you, as the Father sent me, I'm sending you to. 4, a week later with Thomas full of doubt, touch my hands! And Thomas cried out. 5, at the shore of the lake, a fire blazed, a haul of fish, the disciples amazed. 10 times, yes, at least 10 times. Jesus alive, it is crazy. Keep listening and don't be lazy. 6, Peter, he asked, do you love me? Times 3, feed my sheep, Peter, follow me. 7, on a mountain, he told him his vision. Go make disciples, the Great Commission. 8, to the crowd of 500 or so, he showed he's alive so that all would know. 9, to his brother James, Jesus came, and James believed was never the same. 10, on the Mount of Olives got their attention. He blessed them all, then did the ascension. Do the walk 10 times, yes, at least 10 times. Jesus alive, it's totally true. Now go and tell he is with you. Go to the world, the Spirit will guide. Tell the good news with me at your side. Go, go, go!
I hope you enjoyed that. Now, by the end of this session, you'll know all the different aspects of how to create something like that. And it took me a few hours, but it's all possible, and it's not that difficult. We're going to look at the creativity that God has given you. We're going to treat AI as a helper. And also at that point, we'll look at some of the dangers, cautions, and things that you need to think about when you're using AI. We're going to learn how to ask good questions. That's prompting. And then also, I'm going to show you the all-new Max 7 program builder that can do amazing things with AI. We're going to look at good Bible handling, because anything to do with ministry and AI, you want to know how to do it well and handle the Bible really well with AI, and there's some good tips there. Then we're going to jump into generative art and making images with AI. We're going to think about creating a song. We're going to turn the images into AI video, make them move, and then we'll bring it all together with some examples. Now, this is going to be quite a long training, so at any point you want to stop and pause and discuss it, please feel free. So let's get started. Now, God has made you creative. The Bible says that you're made in the image of God. He is the creator. Now, we don't have the same creative ability as God, of course, but we are made in his image. And in fact, God has given this remarkable ability for us to imagine things that don't exist. If I said to you, I want you to imagine that you're sitting on a planet on the other end of the universe, and it's a planet where the trees float in the sky and everything, the landscape is made of marshmallows and the sky is purple and the water is red. I could ask you to imagine that, and of course it doesn't exist, but you can picture that in your head. And in fact, if I gave you 5 minutes to think about imagining things that don't exist, you could come up with thousands of different scenarios. That is the ability that God has given you to imagine, that he's given to no other creature. And that's because of these incredible brains that God has given us. Just to kick us off, and then I'll look at the Bible, draw 4 circles on a piece of paper. Just 4 simple circles. This is going to be a quick activity. What I want you to do, turn the first circle into something else. So you can create an image using that circle and see what you can come up with. A lot of people create a face or something like that. Now your challenge now is to do all 4 circles, but do different things in each one. So if your first one is a face, what can you make the second one? What can you make the third one? And the fourth one. I'm only going to give you 30 seconds. You might like to pause the video and have a bit of a draw, and then I'll be back. All right, how did you go? Now, these are some that I drew. Actually, I might have cheated a little bit and used AI to help me here, but I've ended up with a snail, a fish tank, a little alien, and a round doored castle. So have a look at the ones next to you. The point is that God has made us creative. So let's look at this wonderful verse where Jesus was asked about the greatest commandment. And of course, he quotes from Deuteronomy and he says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Very well known, the great commandment, love in all those different ways. And I wonder how often you've thought about loving the Lord with all your mind. Now, let me tell you just a tiny bit about your brain. Your brain is more complex than the most complex computer on earth, yet it only needs water and food to operate for 70 to 100 years, 24 hours a day. And your brain functions with the equivalent power of a dim light globe, about 20 watts. For a computer to simulate the same number of connections as your brain, it would require something like 600 million times more power. The Bible says a lot about God's creativity, and then when we look at Jesus, we see an amazing creative teacher who's able to do incredible things in different ways, and that's what's recorded in the Gospels. When you look at Exodus 31, you see, the story of Bezalel and Aholiab are the first people in the Bible who are said to be filled with the Spirit of God. And God chose Bezalel and gave him the Spirit to skillfully design and craft and build the tabernacle and everything in it. And Aholiab was appointed to help him. They were gifted by God with creativity, craftsmanship, and the ability to teach others. That shows that creative work, especially when done for God's glory, is deeply spiritual and very valuable. You are made as a creative person. Now, when we think about AI, I think it takes more creativity to use AI and not less. We often think that AI is going to cheat for us, but in so many ways, I've found that AI just opens up lots of possibilities for my creativity to be able to do something, to come up with an idea and then to be able to pull it off in a way that I've never been able to do before. And you can do that too. And this session is really about showing you different ways that that's possible in a local church setting or in a ministry setting. So let's now think about how to use AI. To begin with, I like to think of treating AI as a bit of a helper, a tool, something that I can use to be able to create ideas, to research, to explore, and I want to talk a little bit about that. Before we go any further, because people often ask about the ethics of AI, the dangers of AI, so I'm just going to take a moment now to talk about that. First up, AI does reflect the values that it's trained on. It's pulled data from all across the internet, which means that some of it is biblical and some of it isn't. And so be cautious. In fact, generative AI tools, the ones that make things, are built on vast data sets shaped by the world's assumptions and not God's word. They might subtly reinforce pride or consumerism or distorted views of identity, beauty, and truth, the same as the rest of the internet, the same as social media. Now, having said that, I'm going to talk to you today about some ways that can help you overcome some aspects of this. If you ask AI a very simple question, you won't always get the best response. The second is that AI art can imitate, but it can't create with the Spirit of God. Now, I personally think that God is everywhere, so I think God is quite able to be part of the AI world as God is throughout the internet and in our hearts. So he is able to influence all of these different things. But I think what we need to realize is that we do have access to God. We can pray, and we're the only ones made in the image of God with creativity and a conscience and a purpose. AI tools can assist, but they don't replace that spirit-filled artistry or ministry born from prayer and the calling that God has given to us. But they can certainly serve a purpose, and that's why we're here today. Now, there's a challenge with AI that sometimes it's using stolen creativity, and that's not always honouring, or it's not honouring to others. There are many AI models that are trained on artwork without permission. We'll need to think more about this and continue to explore. Is it just? Is it loving? And we must avoid benefiting from exploitation, even if it's unintentionally. Now, this is not always simple to answer, because every artist has also learned from the skills of others and drawn on that, just like AI does, but we need to be discerning about it. Now, tools can serve truth or they can manipulate it. Generative AI images and video can blur the lines between truth and fiction. Be discerning. Think about how we use images, videos, and audio, especially when representing Jesus, Bible stories, or other people. And we need to try and communicate with truth and with care. Everything that we generate is a translation or an interpretation of Scripture. And so we need to be wise. So don't chase AI's power. We need to stay close to Jesus' way. And AI does offer speed and scale and impact, but there is a temptation to over-rely on technology. Discernment means asking not just can we do this, but should we? We need to stay grounded in humility, love, and mission. I can ask AI to write my sermon, and it'll do it very fast, but is it a good idea? Probably not. However, there are great things that you can do with AI, and we'll explore those today. Now also, just be careful when you upload things to AI. Don't upload sensitive or personal data. You don't know where it will end up. Again, the same as the rest of the internet. Be careful when you're uploading photos of people or yourself, and only do it if you have permission and you don't mind where they end up. So that gives you just a little bit of the warnings, and maybe I've scared you off now, but we're going to spend the rest of the time together looking at what you can do and how this new technology has lots of benefits to ministry in ways like the printing press,
Now multiplied. Let the world read.
the telephone, the internet, and all other technologies have. Things can be always used for good or used for evil.
You're really going to do it?
and I'm going to whip through fast all these different things. I'll also then give you a link at the end to the AI Academy, the Max 7 AI Academy, which is a learning community that we set up last year that has many videos, trainings, tutorials, stories, examples of AI that you can learn from. It's all free. It's all accessible. In 1 hour, I can't cover everything in great detail. And also in this group, we'll have a mix of people that are using AI a lot and people that have never used it. And so I can't take the time to show you every single step of how to do it, but I'll give you some hints. And then if you want to go deep, or if you want to get started even, go to the AI Academy and you can find how to get going. Okay, back to treating AI as a helper. It's like somebody on your team that can do things that no one else can do. That's the way I look at it. So, for example, if I'm good at writing lyrics, but I'm not so good at recording the music, then maybe AI can step in and help me. Or maybe I've got great ideas of what I want to visualize, but I really can't draw, and AI can help me with that. Or maybe I need just a little bit of help with my Greek when I'm looking at the Bible, or I need someone to help me research. So what is it that you are lacking that maybe AI could step in and help? That's the way I look at it. The second thing is that I love to use a chatbot as a thinking partner. So there are different types of thinking in a creative thinking process. So one of those is what's called divergent thinking. So if I'm trying to come up with ideas for a talk or a game or a ministry idea or anything, I don't just go to the very first idea that I have. I like to come up with lots of ideas. And the idea of divergent thinking is to come up with many, many, many different possibilities and do it really fast. And so you might end up with 10 different ideas in your head or on a piece of paper. A chatbot is very good at this, where I might even give the 3 or 4 different ideas that I've had and then say, can you give me another 10 ideas around this topic? And divergent thinking is a very good thing. I can say to the chatbot, could you list in bullet points different things that I could do? Another type of thinking is called emergent thinking, which is where you play with ideas. So in my chatbot, I might say, okay, I've got all these different ideas. What about if I put that song together with that game? Or if I use that game that uses a bucket, but I mix it with this other game that's using a rock, and I mix them and play with them, what would I come up with then? That's emergent thinking. And that works very well with all sorts of different creative thinking activities. Emergent thinking. And then the last one would be something like convergent thinking, where I could say to the chatbot, these are all the different ideas I have. This is my audience. Which one do you think I should try? Or what do you think would be the 3 best ideas to try out? And why? And it would give me a reasonable answer of why it thinks these ones might be the best. Now, I don't have to follow that. I just use AI as a helper. So I play with ideas, I come up with ideas, I try and help analyze ideas, and then I use my human agency to choose. And never do I just use AI to do everything. I always end up tweaking it, editing, refining, or changing it. And that's a really good thing to do. Now let's go right back to the beginning and just think about this concept of prompting. Now with AI, what you're doing is that you're asking a question, whether it's a chatbot, which uses words, or whether it's generative art, which uses images, or video, which turns a still image into a moving image or a song. It all comes back to a prompt. And if you ask a good question, you might get a good answer. If you ask a bad question, you'll get a bad answer. It's the same as anything. If I asked a junior leader, I want you to run a game next week, and that was it, that's all I asked, you could imagine that I might get any number of different possibilities. They might turn up with a game that's entirely unsuitable, or it might go for too long, or it doesn't fit into the theme because I haven't given any detail. AI is the same. You need to learn how to ask good questions. And AI has looked at all the data of the internet and read all the books and read everything. And so what it's doing is it's drawing on that learning. And every time it answers in a new way. It doesn't actually copy and paste things. It actually tries to predict what might be the right thing that you're asking, or what's the next word, or the next pixel if it's an image. If I ask a question about the Bible, it might answer it from any perspective. It might answer it as if you're a journalist, or it might answer it as if you're very negative about the Bible, or it might answer it in a way that's very positive about the Bible. You haven't told it. You haven't given enough information. And so there's a number of different things that you can do. And one of the most powerful ones is tell the AI what it is or who it is, and where you're trying to answer from. So if I'm wanting an answer about the Bible, I'm going to tell it as much as I can. I'm going to say, you are a Reformed Bible teacher who trusts the Bible to be true. And then I ask my question. I'm telling it what it is. Or if I'm asking a scientific question, I might say, you are a world-renowned scientist specializing in chemistry. And then I ask my question. Or you might be trying to create some sort of animation like I do. And you say, you're a Pixar-trained Hollywood animator. And I want you to help me think about this story in terms of a storyboard. What are the different scenes that I might need to tell this story well? And it's answering from an animator's perspective, a storytelling perspective. Or I might even say, you're a very funny and successful children's author, and I want you to help me write this story for children. Just be specific about what you want the AI to generate. Say as much as you can, be clear and concise, and provide detail and even keywords, or give examples of the types of things that you're wanting to do. So let's look at an actual Bible example that I've tried this. So I could write a prompt, and I could say something like this: can you give me a Bible lesson for children about David and Goliath? Now, what's the problem with this? Firstly, I haven't told it how long it is. I haven't told it what age my children are. I haven't given a lot of examples at all. Now, when I tried this, it actually gave a reasonable response. It gave me some different ideas. It gave me some games. But in the end, the application was a moral application. If you face a problem, then just face it like David and stand up to it. So how would I end up with something that I'm looking for? Well, instead of just writing a prompt, you need to frame a prompt. And so, for example, I might say, to start with, I'm doing a children's Bible lesson from a Reformed theological perspective. I believe that the Old Testament stories always have an aspect of pointing towards Jesus. Could you look at this Bible lesson from Max 7 and use it as a style template for my lesson? So I might download something that I like, a previous lesson, something that I've written, something that I've downloaded from Max 7. You're more than able to do that. And then say, could you use that as my template for the lesson? And then give some examples. 50% of my kids have special needs and have short attention spans. And actually, I'd like to include some good learning games in the lesson, and I could add more. So that's framing it. And then I ask the question, now, can you give me a lesson for children about David and Goliath from the CEV version of the Bible, from 1 Samuel 17? And I'll get a much better response aligned with my theological position and my context, because I've framed the prompt. If you search Max 7 and you go to max7.org, you will find a library, if you don't know it already, of thousands and thousands of free children's, youth, family, sport, ministry resources. But there's a brand new tool there called the Max 7 Builder. And if you go to that, it's an AI-powered builder to be able to create programs, games, quizzes, and even coloring sheets. It's something that we are developing, and I want to show you how it works very quickly. So when you click on Program Builder, you will see firstly that it's free, You can sign in if you want to. And if you sign in, then it will record your program and you can come back to it later. If you don't sign in, you can still make the program and just remember to download it, because next time you come back, it will be gone. So describe your audience. So let's say I've got 40 children aged 6 to 11 years. So I put in my audience. I could even say 30% are special needs and like to keep moving. Now, and then I put in what I'm trying to learn. So I might say, I'm going to say the parable of the sower. And I could put in a Bible reference, but it will also find it for me. How long will my program run? Well, I've got 45 minutes. And then describe the space. Okay, I have a church hall with chairs and a few balls. So you can describe the space or multiple spaces. Any other things? Now, I would like to include a number of learning games and lots of movement. So I describe any additional things. Now, you could describe any age group, program, passage of the Bible, and then you simply hit build my program, and then you wait, and it doesn't take very long. And then you can see it's given me a program of an energizer, an arrival activity, where it gives some ideas of scattering some seeds. I can look at, there's even a video. So this will also look at different resources that are on Mac 7 and suggest them if there's one that fits. So there is a video there, a bit of group discussion, a bit of movement, a memory verse, and a closing prayer. And it gives you the materials needed. Now, if I'm happy with that, I can then download it. Or if I want to change my program and refine it, I can put in some suggested changes. So I can then either copy it or download a Word document and edit it, or I can download Acrobat. Now, this is done by AI, so always check it and edit it. I've used this many times, and generally I'll use maybe 80% of the program and then I'll change a few things. But it gives you a really good starting point as you try and shape your program. So have fun, and then you can try the other builders as well. So let's look at this whole area of good Bible handling. And there are lots of things that you can do with AI that will help you handle the Bible well. And I'll give you some examples of what I've used. So a good example of this was when I was doing a Bible study with a young leader friend of mine, and we were looking at John chapter 7. And it goes into this Feast of the Tabernacles. And I was trying to remember what I knew about this festival, and I didn't have a commentary with me. So I asked ChatGPT to give me the context, the history, what was it about, and then what was the significance of what Jesus did at it. So for me, I needed a little bit of help, and the AI helped me. And it explained about this festival and the Feast of the Tabernacles, or Sukkot, and what it does is it points back to the wilderness where God provided water and food and shelter. And one aspect of the festival is where the priests pour water over the altar. Now, it's interesting then that Jesus says, let anyone who is thirsty come to me and drink, in John chapter 7. So there's a direct significance that if I just read the English and I didn't know the history, I would have missed. So researching a passage, the context and the history is quite valuable. Always double check though, especially if it's something important. Once you find that out, then maybe do a Google search or see if you can find a website, reputable website that talks about that if you want to double check it. Or I could do the same where I say, give me the original Greek meaning of this word. And if I don't understand the Greek, then it might help me with that. Or how does this verse or this story fit into the overall context of the book that it's in and God's big plan of salvation? And I showed you that before. That's a really helpful way. Now, we've got a whole manual on Bible handling, and I'll put a link in the video if you want to download it. It's all free, and it gives you lots of great ideas of the types of questions you might want to ask a chatbot to help you to look at the Bible and to research it and handle the Bible better. Okay, now we're going to look at creating images with AI. Everything so far has been using words. Now we're going to look at creating pictures. And I'm going to jump onto my computer and demonstrate this now so that you can see how it works. Okay, here we are in a generative art program called Microsoft Designer or Image Creator. And what I'm going to show you, this one is quite good in that you can use it for free. You can create quite a few images at no cost. And I'm just going to show you the principles of it, and then you can explore it and play with it. And you'll see that the prompting system here is similar to what you might have in any AI. So to begin with, all I'm trying to do here is describe what I want. So I might say a dog. And when I don't give much detail, then it's just going to come up with any sort of dog that it's wanting to make. So what I need to learn is, when I'm doing my prompts, is to give a little bit more detail, and I'll end up with something just a little bit better. What about if we choose a Bible image? So I'm going to go for a small lost sheep. So again, if I do that, it's going to probably give me some sort of photograph or anything. So what I want to do is give a little bit of a context. So as well as what I'm trying to illustrate, I need to give a little bit of a context. So in a lonely valley, and I'm going to this time say in a cartoon style. So you can see here I've got the object, the subject of what I'm trying to make, the lost sheep, in a bit of a context and in a style. And I can also just change the size. So I'll make this wide, I'll hit create. And while we wait for that, with generative art, it just comes down to having a good prompt and giving a good description. So in this instance, depending on what I'm trying to do, whether it's a Bible story, whether it's a parable, whether it's a bit of advertising. So here you go. You've got something that's a little bit more based on what I've asked for in a cartoon style. I could then keep the same subject, and I do that in a Lego style. And what that's going to do is to give me more like a set of plastic blocks, playing blocks. So there you go. You can see that it's done in Lego blocks and looks quite interesting. Or, of course, I could say in a coloring sheet style. So what that's going to do is give me some sort of black and white line drawing. So there we go. There's a bit of a coloring sheet. I could then say, let's pick a different story this time. So I'll go back to David and Goliath. The more detail I get, the better. Early morning light. And then I've got to choose some sort of style. So what about if I say in a 3D animated movie style? So that's AI generative art. So it's giving a little bit more detail. It might give me a slightly better image. And let's see what happens. So that one's quite nice. Except that David's got a sword. And so what often happens in AI is that it's going to do whatever it's going to do. So I'm going to say young shepherd boy David holding a leather strap sling. So you can see we're getting a little bit closer. It's still not quite right. So let me try a few more. And what often happens, you've got to keep trying. Okay, and here we have one that I think, yeah, maybe I can use that. So if I like it, I can then download it. So I'm going to download the image, and I might use that in a little while. Now, one of the things that you can do is to ask your chatbot to help you write the prompts. So when I asked ChatGPT to help me with David and Goliath, it gave me quite a good response. David, facing Goliath in the valley of Elah, David is a young Hebrew shepherd with a sling, wearing ancient 1000 BC Israelite tunic. And it's going to do it in a paper cutout style. Let's see what that looks like. So now it gives me one in an interesting paper cutout style. It's still got some of the details wrong, but you can get the idea. So there you see, you get a paper cutout style of David and Goliath by doing a slightly different prompt. So here's one for the Good Samaritan, a hurt Jewish man lying on a lonely Jericho road with a torn first century robe. Let's see what that does. So here's an interesting one for man helping with a donkey. Why don't we try that one? Here's one with Jesus standing in a first century Galilean fishing boat and calming the storm. So you can see here it's in a Japanese woodblock print style. Let's give that one a go. So that's just an example of how you do generative art. And it's as simple as putting in a prompt and playing around and trying different styles and adding different details. And that's all it takes. So that's how you create an image. And these are some of the images I've made with my children. When we were doing Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, I asked them for some different styles that they wanted to see it in, and we tried different types. This was a kind of a plasticine, a bit of a hand-drawn one, a Lego style one, and we tried a lot of others. So you could do it with your children and do it live if you wanted to. These are some of the things that we've done in our church, our holiday club, creating a jungle scene using AI to create all the images. Or last year we did an underwater theme. Let's now move on to music. And I'm going to also demonstrate this using a program called Suno, and let's see how it works. So this is Suno. This is AI that creates music, and you'll need to sign up, but you can do, I think it's 5 songs a day for free, so you can try it. But this is pretty amazing AI. So once you get here, you just hit create. And you can just do a simple song where you just say, I want a song about something, and it'll do everything for you. And that's pretty fun to try. But we're going to look at the custom button, which is where you add your own lyrics, your own style, and a title. And then we'll see what we're going to do. So this is fairly simple to use. You can get it to write the lyrics for you, but I've written a song about David and Goliath, just to continue our theme. So I got my chatbot to help me, and I've got some lyrics in there. So the lyrics are: a shepherd boy with a sling in hand, faced down the giant across the land, not by strength or sword or might, but trusting God to win the fight. The battle's his, the Lord declared, and down Goliath's pride was snared. One small stone, but heaven's plan, salvation comes through God, not man. So you put your lyrics in there, and you can have fun writing lyrics, and then you pick a style. So what style? I could choose a worship style. I could choose a hip-hop style. I'm going to be a bit crazy, and I'm going to say a sea shanty style with banjo and hand claps. So you could put anything. You can mix it up. You can add instruments, you can add different music styles together, and then I'll give this a song title, David and Goliath, and I'll just call it version 1. And then I hit create, And it's quite remarkable how fast Suno works. And you'll see here it's already starting to create my song. And you can do this on your phone or you can do it on a computer. So let's go. I can either just click this, it'll play the music. If I click the name, it'll show me the words. And let's hear the song.
Oh, one small stone, but in heaven's pound, salvation comes to God was found. A shepherd boy with sling in hand faced down the giant across the land. Not by strength or sword or might, but trusting God to win the fight. Oh, one small stone, but in heaven's pound, salvation comes.
So you get the idea, and then you get another version. So I'll just click that when I'm up here. Let's have a listen.
A shepherd boy with sling in hand faced down the giant across the land. Not by strength or sword or might, but trusting God to win the fight.
Right, and then if I go back to create, and on a laptop the song will still be there and I can change it. But let's try a different style. So what if I said a kids fun rap song?
A shepherd boy with sling in hand faced down the giant across the land. Not by strength or sword or might, but trusting God to win the fight.
All right, we got that. Or if I could say an African festival song. Let's try that.
A shepherd boy with sling in hand faced down the giant across the land.
An African kids action song, Afrobeat. Let's try that.
A shepherd boy with sling in hand faced down the giant across the land. Not by strength or sword or might, but trusting God to win the fight.
Or the other one.
A shepherd boy with sling in hand faced down the giant across the land. Not by strength or sword or might, but trusting God to win the fight.
So that's how you create it. You put lyrics, you choose a style, and you give a title. If I like it, so let's say I want that one, then I click the three little buttons, dots here on the right, and then I can download the song. So I can download the audio, or it does generate a video, which is just the words and the music. Or I can do some other things that are slightly more advanced, where I can extend the song. If I want it longer, I can edit the song and do some more advanced things. But in most cases, what you're trying to do is just end up with a song that you like and download it. So that's pretty much how Suno works. So we've done generative art, creating an image. We've done generative music, creating a song. Now we're going to do generative AI video, which is where you can create a moving image. And there's a couple of ways to do it. You can just create an image using a prompt, where you tell the AI video, I want this, and it'll do a video. And same way we've done the generative art. The way that it works better is when you create a still image, and effectively that's the first frame of your video, and then you upload that image, and then you create a prompt. That's what I'm going to show you how to do. Effectively, if you look at that first video I showed you of the 10 times, where I created a Minecraft image of Jesus and the Great Commission, what AI video does is takes that still image and turns it into a moving image. So let me show you how that is done. So let's now look at AI video and this program called Pixverse and all the AI video programs will have some sort of similar concepts. You sign up for Pixverse, you hit create, and then you just follow each of this little buttons here. It's fairly simple to follow. What you want to know, the duration, do I want 5 seconds video clip or 8 second? What resolution do I want? So 360 is a low resolution. 1080 is like HD quality. And then what size do I want? Like a PowerPoint slide size, a TV size, or do I want a mobile phone? And then you pick an image that you want. So in this case, I'm going to go to some of the ones that we made before. So let me find it. This is the image that we made in Microsoft Designer, and it looks like this. Do you remember that one? So now what we're going to do is, because I've already got the image in there, I don't have to describe the image. I just have to describe what I want it to do. So I might say the boy is facing a giant, he's talking, and the giant is lifting his sword. And then I'll say what the camera's doing. The camera pans left, which just means it moves left. And then I just hit create. Now, Pixverse is not free, but you can do some clips for free each day. So it gives you the ability to try it. So the image was created with AI art, and here's our image as a video. What about one of the other ones? Let's pick one of those other images we made. It was this image of the Good Samaritan helping the man. So what are we going to do here? I'll just do a simple one. The man is helping another man to stand up. And then we'll just hit create and see what it does. Now this is the Good Samaritan. I think the man shouldn't be able to walk quite that easily. But again, you get the idea. Now, if I like it, I can then download the video. And let's try the last image that we did, which was that interesting woodblock one. I don't know what it's going to do. I'm just going to say the man is gesturing at the wind and the waves. Everything is moving. Let's see what happens. It actually manages to animate the waves quite impressively, and I might have to try that a few times. I could even animate some of the hand-drawn images that I've used in the PowerPoint. So let's have a look at one of those. What about the image of Bezalel and Holiab, and see what that does? So this is that one that we used before of the two guys making things. So the men, are creating beautiful items. So I don't have to give a long prompt, because the AI knows what the image is, and it will try and work out what sort of movements to do. All right, so it's quite cute having those little characters moving. So here's just a couple more examples. And that's how you do generative video. You can also have the characters speaking. So once you've got a character, you can try hitting the speech button. Doesn't always work, but you can give that a shot. So we're coming to the end. Let's put it all together. And as you can see now, with those different AI tools, it does require a lot of creativity. You need to come up with the idea and then use the tool to help you to make it. It's a little bit like you walk into an art studio and they have every type of paint and paintbrush and canvas, and then they say, make something. You're going to have to think hard. What could I make, or what could I paint? AI is the same. But if you pray and think about what you're trying to teach, or you've got an idea that you're trying to generate, then suddenly AI gives you a whole range of different tools that might help you to accomplish it. And here are some examples of things that I've made, and you can have a look at the link to the AI Academy again and Max 7 and see more of these. But the first one, I was doing it at my local school where I still get to go in and talk about the Bible. But safety means I can't take photographs of the children. And anyway, I'm not going to upload photographs of children to AI. So we created this song together, actually, in class, where they came up with different lyric ideas. And I created the song. But I couldn't show the faces of the children, and so I came up with a solution. where I could describe the hair color and some of those things and turn them into Lego characters. So this was a fun little song. I won't show you the whole thing, but it's a little bit of a taste from my local school. Here's another one I tried, which was doing the story of Barnabas, and I could not find any video of Barnabas. We certainly didn't have one on Mac 7, and so I thought, I will try and work out how to tell a bit of an overview of this character in the Bible, important character. And so again, I used ChatGPT to help me to find the different references to Barnabas. And then together we brainstormed, came up with a script, and then I created a character of Barnabas. This uses another app called HeyGen. And what I do is I create the character on a green background or a blue background. And if you know video editing, then when I bring that video into my video editing program, I can make the green disappear. It's called chroma key. So that way I can create different layers of an animation. And so I created Barnabas as an avatar character, animated him separately, and then created the backgrounds separately and brought them together. And it was a very quick way of being able to create a nice overview of the story of Barnabas. And everything I'm showing you, by the way, you can download. And I've tried other ones with Lego. And this is a fun video that was made for the Olympics, but it's still relevant in terms of a kind of sporting analogy, but then flows into the story of Jesus. This was an Easter challenge before Easter. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to tell the whole story of the Holy Week in one song? And I decided I would choose a style of something like Hamilton. And Hamilton is a new musical theatre production, and it's done in a sort of hip-hop contemporary musical style. But again, I thought, well, how am I going to do this? And I asked the chatbot to list in chronological order what were the events of the Holy Week across the Gospels. And it listed them out. Again, I double-checked it, but it helped me to think through the order of the Holy Week. So to begin with, I then said, could you then turn this set of Bible stories into a set of lyrics done in a hip-hop rap style, and see how it goes? And it only takes a few seconds, and I ended up with an example. And it was just a test. It was part of my divergent thinking of saying, I wonder whether this will work. And I tried it, and then I turned it into a song, and it was quite good. I thought, yes, okay, let's give this a shot. I then worked on it for a lot of hours afterwards, where I refined the lyrics. I couldn't fit all the stories in because it would have ended up being a song that was too long. And then I started to animate it. But this is just a taste of the video. I haven't finished it yet, but you can get a bit of a taste of the song and a bit of a taste of the animation that I'm trying to generate.
Stage it is set, I've a story to tell of an actual battle between heaven and hell. You might think it's silly, a myth or a riddle, but the problem is everyone's caught in the middle. If the darkness wins out, our future is bleak. The battle begins at the start of the week. He's riding a donkey, now that's a surprise. No army, no soldiers, just love in his eyes. Palm branches wave, Hosanna they say. Children sing, people laugh, it's happy that day. Blessed he comes in the Lord's name. The priests and leaders don't feel the same. Do you hear those children? Hear what they say. Stop this noise, send them away. I hear it well, and haven't you read? From children's lips, God's praise is said.
What if Jesus spawned into YOOR Minecraft world? Like what? No armor, no elytra, just shows up? I had to know, so I asked some cracked players on my SMP to help. This wasn't just some random spawn. This one was prophesied way back when the world first generated.
Totally unexpected. Took ages, too. Imagine you're just out here farming wheat, and a glitched out heavenly mob drops out of the sky and tells you, yeah, you're gonna carry the chosen one!
No command blocks, no armor, just a villager and a crazy OP quest.
And it was the craziest quest ever.
Your world's about to be rocked, dudes. Like nether portal exploding levels of wild. Coming soon.
Jesus just switched to God mode IRL.
Walking on water fare, no elytra needed!
So that gives you a little bit of a taste of what is possible, and there's so much more that could be said, but I wanted you to get an idea of what is possible. And if you want to go deeper, then go to the AI Academy, and there are tutorials on each one of those different pieces of software. You could go to Mac 7 and download lots of different resources as well, and go and have a look at the AI Academy manual on lots of different areas. It's a amazingly detailed manual, all free to download. So thank you. I pray that you might use your mind in a way to love God, that you would find creative possibilities using AI, that you would be wise and discerning and keep learning and be curious. But I do hope that this session has opened your eyes up to what might be possible in your local church, in your ministry, to be able to serve Jesus and create things that you've never been able to create before. So God bless and thank you.
This one's football, this one bikes. These love dancing, these love hikes. Here it's drama these guys make.